the topic for today is how to effectively use LinkedIn as a sales prospecting tool. And so let's just jump right in. This is sort of our agenda here today. We're going to talk about how you can find target prospects on LinkedIn. We're going to talk to you about how some options you have for reaching out to those prospects and how to reach out to them. We will talk about what to say when you do in fact reach out, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to stay fresh in people's mind. Those are being people that you're interacting with on LinkedIn or target prospects that you found on LinkedIn. I want you to kind of notice that these are four things that you have tremendous control over. You have tremendous control over being able to find prospects that you want to reach out to. You have some options for reaching out to them. You have true control over what you say, and then there are some things that you're at your disposal for staying in touch. So the good news is that we're going to talk about very practical things that you can implement immediately. The bad news is that I'm not going to teach you some sort of manipulation magic trick here that you're not selling today and you're going to do one thing and then you're on LinkedIn and you're going to have all these leads in business. No, that's not the case. What I'm going to show you today will still require the activities that come with prospecting, the putting in the steps, going through the processes, but you should walk away with a few things that you might not have thought of before that you can implement immediately. So that being said, let's jump right in. And the first thing that we want to focus on is using LinkedIn to figure out who to prospect to. And this is probably actually one of the best things that LinkedIn offers you, is that it's like a directory of target prospects. I mean, if you sell B2B, a lot of the key prospects that you want to interact with use LinkedIn. They might have used LinkedIn to get the job at the company they work for. So they're using LinkedIn as a tool, as a resume. And the great thing there for you as a salesperson is that they often keep it up to date. So in some ways, it's almost the most up-to-date and well-loaded up CRM that you could use, just because there's so many prime prospects in there. Now, of course, there are many executives or business owners that know it's in their best interest to maybe not be so public on LinkedIn because it's going to invite some sales calls. But I think that is more of the minority, and there's plenty of prospects on LinkedIn. Regarding the step of finding key prospects that you can maybe try to pursue, these are some steps that I want you to go through, and you can do this on a pad of paper or a spreadsheet or whatever. I want you to think about what region or location or area that would fit well with what you sell. Or I mean, this could be your territory as a salesperson. It could be a concentration of target prospects. I mean, you could have a region of the western United States, and that doesn't mean that should be the area that you're going to search on LinkedIn for target prospects. You want to drill in. You want to think about the title of the individual. So what do you want to try to pursue people at a director level, VP level, the department, are they in finance, HR, sales? You might want to make a list of target companies that you sell to. And I just want to point out, so we have up at the top region, and then we also have target companies. There are probably two different mindsets that you could use here. You can either have a regional mindset, which is I'm going to LinkedIn and I'm going to do a search and find people that work at all different companies in a particular area, or you can shift that mindset to be very account-based, company-based, and plug in. And this works well if you sell to like large companies or any size company, but you can do a search for specific to a company, and then you can see the particular individuals on LinkedIn at that company. You also might want to think about industry or industries that you can sell into. And when you have those pieces of information together, then you can go to LinkedIn and do an advanced search and get a full list of target prospects. And just to demonstrate a little bit of this, I'm not going to give a training session on using LinkedIn, but just to sort of demonstrate this a bit. So a particular area that I have productive conversations with is inside sales. And I often like to talk to inside sales directors. I mean, I can talk to people below that. I can sell above that, but this is an example of a search I might do. Now, a couple things that I want to point out. There's this field here that says current. So this means, is this search going to be against their current, because this is going to look for keywords in their profile. So it's going to look in their current job and the title of their current job. If you do a search for a company, it's going to look only for people that are currently at that company. You could also do searches for past or past and current. So if you're looking for a particular person, I mean, if you really want to refine the search, you always want to make sure that that is selected in terms of current. You could put a company in here. I'm going to delete the company, and then you could put the location. So I find that I like to sell to inside sales organizations, and there's a lot of inside sales organizations in the Bay Area, San Francisco area. So I just plugged in the area code for that, and there's some other fields over here. You can search industry. So I like to sell often to computer software companies. They seem to really appreciate what we do, and so that's something to narrow the search. And so there's some other check boxes here. I'm on the standard LinkedIn account, the free account. I have used their premium services in the past. So if you upgrade, you can also refine the search there. But some of the things I've shown you here are sometimes good enough. And if I just do a search based on that, you'll see I basically get pages of prospects. And so I can go through here and look and scroll and find the particular prospects that I'm wanting to reach. Now again, at this place and what we're talking about finding target prospects. So right here I have found some good prospects. Now you can refine that search over here. You'll notice I had a company name there that I just wanted to actually pick a large company, just so you could see what that looks like. But if I want to say I want to find inside salespeople managers at a particular company, then I just refine that search to add that company name, and here we go. See, I mean, just tons of people. So here's 3 pages, but definitely if I'm trying to get into that account, I have a place to start. And often where to start is one of the biggest challenges. If you don't know who to contact, then what do you do? So that is just what I wanted to show you regarding finding the key people or finding target prospects, and it's really just that simple. Moving on to the next step is how to reach out. Now you'll notice when I had that list of target prospects, there were these buttons on the side that said, connect. And if you're attending this webinar, you're probably familiar with LinkedIn enough to know that you can connect on LinkedIn and become basically what they call connections, which are essentially like friends, or in the social media world, it's the equivalent of friends. I want to talk to you a bit about that. Now, regarding how to reach out, you have a few options. You could send them an invitation to connect, and it's real easy. Not to say that they'll accept it, but that is an option for you to do in terms of engaging. You could send them an email, and you could call them directly. Now, one thing I want to point out, and I want to talk a little bit about what I recommend that you not do, and this is what I would call the instant pitch. And I have on LinkedIn, my title is, I have a management level title on my LinkedIn profile, and so I get pursued by salespeople a lot. What I find often happens is that a salesperson sends an invite to connect, and then the prospect accepts the invite. And what happens right after that is the salesperson sends an email, usually through LinkedIn, but it could often be they've grabbed the email address from LinkedIn and they're sending it through a direct email. But actually, a lot of times they just send it directly through LinkedIn, and they send an email selling the product they sell. And I think that this is a complete misstep in how to use LinkedIn. And there's a couple reasons why, but I think it's rude, quite frankly, because when someone sends me an invite to connect, it's not like I think that they're going to be my friend and I just want us to be social or whatever. I acknowledge that, okay, they might be a business person and we might engage in a business activity in some sort of manner, but it's just not fun being pitched. And when someone sends you an invite to connect, and then immediately they start to pitch you on what they sell, I personally think it's rude. I would say not to do that. Let me show you some examples, and you'll notice there I left the date on these. These actually this happens to me almost on a daily basis, and so that's another thing that you should think about, is that your prospects are getting contacted a lot. This was a couple days ago. Someone instant pitched me, and here's their email. Hello, Michael, and they have some stuff that I blocked out about their company. We offer seminars for franchisers, earn 150 CFE credits. I don't even know what they're talking about and whatnot. So he's asking me, do you want to learn more? This is right after we established a connection. And another reason why I think that kind of rubs me the wrong way is, okay, we're connected now. We have this ongoing connection through LinkedIn, and now are you going to continue to try to sell to me? Here's another one, and this was October 25th. Thanks for joining my LinkedIn network. I really appreciate it. Look forward to staying in touch. We're a company that does such and such. By the way, this guy sent me, and this goes back to my last point exactly about, are you going to continue to try to sell to me? This guy sent me an email yesterday following up this email with more product information and talking about trying to sell me translation services. Those are some examples of the instant pitch. If you insist on doing that, what I would tell you at least is delay the email. So if you send me an invite to connect and I accept your invite to connect today, wait a week, wait a couple days, wait a couple weeks, and then come back and send me your product selling email. Just do that at least. So some things to consider with engaging on through LinkedIn is, when you invite to connect, it makes your approach as a salesperson, I think, a little bit more sensitive, because you've almost extended an olive branch to say, let's kind of be friends and connections. Oh, now I'm going to sell to you. I personally think skip the step of, let's be connections and collaborate and whatever, and just go straight to being a salesperson. So, and then like I said, if you do connect and become connections, delay the email at least. And what I would also recommend, and we'll show you how to do that here today, is the email that you do send, don't be too pitchy. Don't be too product selling in your email. And I'll explain exactly how to do that here today. On the flip side, I'm kind of persuading you to not connect if you read that, but there are some benefits to becoming connections, because it provides an opportunity for you to passively communicate to your connections through LinkedIn, and I'll explain what that is. So there are some benefits to actually becoming connections. So you'll need to determine sort of how aggressively you want to pursue this prospect, or maybe when do you become connections. Now, the other thing is, I think people become connections a lot with other prospects, so they get their email address and then they can send an email directly through LinkedIn. What I'm going to show you here today is you actually don't need to go through that whole process of asking them to connect, and then maybe because I send some invites to connect that don't even ever get replied, don't get accepted. So you could skip that step altogether, and there's a way to get their email address, and I'll show you that here today. And the other thing is that a lot of salespeople that sell to me, most of them, they reach out to me once on LinkedIn. And what I'll tell you right now is, if you want to be effective, it's going to take more than one message, and maybe more than one type of message in terms of way of reaching out to a prospect. So multi-touch is what it's going to take for you to truly be consistently successful. I mentioned that you don't need to connect to get their email address, and here's why. Almost 85% of the time, you can guess a prospect's email address because it's going to use one of these naming conventions. So some mixture of details from their first and last name, and then if you know where they work, you're going to have a good idea of what their website address is, and that's going to be the second half of their email address. So you can actually guess email addresses, and you could either send an email, and if it bounces back, then try another way. There are some tools on the internet that verify email addresses, and so those tools basically go out to like the MX Record databases out in the world of the internet, and they basically will verify if the email address you're using is correct. Now, one thing I want to show you that we've actually built is something we call an email guesser. So we actually use that software that will verify email addresses. And what we've done is I listed out all those different combinations there for you. What we do is our software basically will run basically all the different combinations of those. So here's just a test of myself. I put my first name, my last name, and then my company website address, and then the software basically then like I said, uses all the different combinations, and you'll see here it was able to identify which one was the correct email address. So if you go on LinkedIn and you see your target prospects, then you know their first name, you know their last name, you know the company they work for. You can then plug all that in right here, and you can get their email address and skip the whole inviting to connect standpoint. Now, in terms of which option you use, let me just show you some different ways to mix these three different ways of communicating. I just showed you sort of the instant connect, and you could still send the invitation and then an email and avoid the instant connect, like I said, by delaying a bit. And you can do this, and if you do send that email, like I said, just have a good message, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You could skip the invitation and just email. And then what I would probably recommend you do if you really want to be successful is to email and then call the prospect. And if you still can't get a hold of them, maybe call the prospect a couple times if you're getting their voicemail. Then you email them again. Then you call the prospect a few times. So that's what I would recommend. But you have different options here, and I don't, if you don't want to get on the phone, I don't blame you for just using email, and we'll show you how to compose emails here in a minute. Here's a more extensive call cadence if you're open, using the phone and integrating voicemail messages and email. Here's a methodology. There's the different colors are 4 different rounds of calling and emailing, and then pausing, after you leave a voicemail message. So this is actually in the ebook that you would have gotten when you registered for this event, and I do have webinars that I go through this process step by step, this call cadence. But you could use that for when you're prospecting on LinkedIn, and there's mentions of emails here, and you could send those through LinkedIn directly or through your email system. So that's how to reach out in terms of what way are we going to try to engage in terms of the format and medium that we use to communicate. Now let's move on to what to say, which is also the big part. I think the two things that kind of get you stuck is who do I call, and then what the heck do I say if I get them on the phone, or what do I put in an email? So what I want you to not do is have an all about me approach. And the examples that I showed you earlier, instant contact emails, those were a little bit all about me. But if you think about what a salesperson's interests are, I mean, in life, we're all human beings, and we all have interests. You have interest as a salesperson or interest as a business owner. When you're in a relationship with someone, you have interests and they have interests. And the challenging thing about dealing with human beings is that we all have different interests. Even a husband and a wife, their interests overlap to a certain degree. Most likely there's a lot of overlap if they decide to get married. But in reality, even in a great fit, great match, good marriage, there's a lot of interests that are different and don't match. So you have that same dilemma when you're a salesperson and you're dealing with a prospect. And it's important for you to kind of be aware that what are your interests? Well, your interests are your company and the products you sell, which you probably think are great, and they probably are. What your products do, how your products are priced, getting prospects to purchase your products, hitting your sales targets, making money, making commissions. These are the things you care about. These are your primary interests. And this is what you think about a lot, and this is where you have a lot of knowledge about. And you know what? This is all about you as a salesperson. And I'm going to show you some messages, because what happens is salespeople often just think about this stuff all day, and then they go, okay, it's time for me to email someone that I want to sell to. So this is where everything comes from. And let me show you some examples. These are emails I got through LinkedIn, by the way. Hey, I'd like to introduce myself as part of Company X, a leader in data-driven marketing solutions. If you're looking to acquire new customers or launch a new product, blah blah blah. And then this person actually lists out everything, all the products they sell. I mean, This is totally all about me, me being the salesperson. I hope everything is going great, and thank you for connecting with me. This was another. I'm guarantee this was an instant reach out email, instant pitch. I wanted to reach out to you and ask you how you're handling payroll and HR for your company. I'm sure everything's taken care of, but definitely they're trying to sell their product to me. I hope you're doing well today. I'll keep this short and to the point. We recently launched Product X after 3 years of development. It's a total game changer. Basically, Product X uses blah, blah, blah. It's a self-service platform, unlike anything you may have seen. The kicker is it's inexpensive and fast. So this person's really excited about their product, and they want to talk to me about them and their stuff. So that's what I would call product selling. And to be honest with you, it's what almost everybody does. I mean, and why do we do this? It's because it's what we're trained to do. If you get hired by a company, they're going to put you through training, and they're going to teach you about this is who we are, this is the company that hired you. These are the products we're going to have you sell. This is what the products do. This is how you can price and bundle all the different products together. These are the benefits that the products offer. This is what gets drilled into a salesperson's head with a fire hose. That becomes their foundation of knowledge, becomes their wealth of experience. It's what they're interested in. This information is what they see leads to them getting paid. And like I said, it's very all about me, but that's the foundation of knowledge. So anytime it's time to write an email or pick up the phone or talk to someone at a networking event, this is what they reflect on when they're trying to figure out what to say. So that's what we would call product selling. What we recommend you do is what we call consultative selling, and it's a different approach. Instead of talking about the product, we want you to become more aware of the value that the products offer and the pain points that the products help to resolve. By the way, I'll give you a tip here. Your products offer some sort of benefits. Oh, and by the way, the benefits that your products offer can be different when you go from selling from one industry to another. So that's why we work with clients and help them to build industry-specific campaigns. Or when you go from, you might be able to sell your product to operations and finance. Totally different benefits that you provide a CFO versus a VP of operations. So you might have different messaging when you start talking to these different audiences. But if you outline the benefits that your product offers the particular target prospect, again, going back to step one of thinking about who we're trying to reach, then you can make a list of benefits that you offer. Now here's a tip. For each benefit that you offer, there is an associated pain point, meaning when you help somebody to improve something, you're helping something that's not working well or could be working better to not be a problem. So for each benefit, there could be a corresponding pain point. Part of consultative selling is asking good questions, good qualifying questions, good pre-qualifying questions. I personally believe the best salesperson is the one that asks the best questions. So, but you may say, I like that, but I'm not sure what questions to ask. Let me start asking what keeps you up at night. I personally think what keeps you up at night to ask a prospect that is a horrible question because it's so broad, and the prospect might say something that you have completely no knowledge about. So you want to ask, I personally think the best questions to ask really identify if the prospect has the concerns that you can help to fix. For example, if you sell, I've used this example. Is just popping in my head. But if you sell memberships to a gym, a workout facility, and people that you can sell to real easily are people that want to lose weight, that are having health problems. Well, and there's other pain points, but those are pain points. But let's just focus on those two. So for you to determine if someone is a good prospect and someone that you can that is worth you spending your valuable time with, you might want to ask them, how important is it for you to get healthier and to lose some of the if you were to lose any weight, how much weight would you want to lose? How important is it for you to lose that weight? How will your life change if you were able to hit some of your health goals? Do you have any health issues that you'd like to resolve? How are you concerned about your medical costs and medical bills? So those are great questions to ask. I'm not talking about the product at all. I'm asking good questions, and I'm getting answers that are going to help me to build my case for why that person should buy from me. So that's what consultative selling is all about. And the key to getting the right questions is look at the pain points that you fix. So there's a relationship here. It starts with finding benefits, then taking those to get us to a list of pain points, and then that takes us to a list of qualifying questions. Building interest, a lot of salespeople just talk about the product to build interest. Someone says, I'm not interested. Oh, well, but did I tell you we have a lifetime warranty? So they're continuing to talk about the product. I personally believe there's powerful ways to trigger interest, such as talking about return on investment, payback period, differentiation, case studies, and whatnot. Credibility, sharing past customer examples to establish credibility and also to build interest. And then having responses for key prospect objections. So that's a different way to go. And it takes a little thought and a little organization of ideas, but when that becomes your foundation and knowledge, then that is what you can rely on. And the key thing here is most of this is focused on the prospect. This is less of an all about me approach, if only for one reason, that the central piece of this is asking good questions. So if you're asking the prospect questions, you're making it all about them. They're doing the talking. You're sitting back and listening. So it's definitely more prospect focused. But when that becomes your foundation of knowledge, then that impacts everything that you say when you're talking to prospects, and can feed into what we're here to talk about today, can feed into what you say to them when you're engaging through LinkedIn or using LinkedIn for prospecting. So if you like that, you can do a lot of that with a blank piece of paper or a spreadsheet. The thing about SalesScripter is it's going to take you through those different steps of identifying who you're selling to and what product you want to sell, what benefits that product offers that particular buyer, what pain points those benefits help to resolve, what questions you could ask to see if those pain points exist. I want to show you some example messaging that you could use when you're prospecting through LinkedIn. So specifically, you're going to use email in some way or another when you're using LinkedIn as a prospecting tool. So I'm going to show you some email examples. Before I show you that, I want to make it crystal clear what not to do or what to do regarding what steps to take with a prospect when you're prospecting to them. So if you get on LinkedIn, you get their email address or you connect with them. Let's just say you call them or you email them. Hopefully you end up doing both, unless they just respond to your first email. And let's call that the initial contact. And so a couple things about the initial contact. It could be a phone call, it could be an email, it could be talking to someone at an event. It could be someone calling into you and calling your company. And what I want you to get your hands around is that this first contact, it should only be 2 to 5 minutes. And you might end up talking to someone longer, although I would say if you're at a networking event, you should move on and go meet someone else. But a lot of times you will end up talking to this person more than 5 minutes. And what I just would like you to see things as is you've actually progressed to the next step. You've done it at the networking event or on the cold call, but you've progressed through the initial contact, because the initial contact should just be 2 to 5 minutes. 80% of that initial contact, you should be focused on the prospect. So you're asking them questions, and 20% on you. The goal here is really, the goal of the initial contact is to set an appointment. And the key thing here regarding using LinkedIn as a prospecting tool, I showed you a bunch of email templates. I showed you the instant sales pitch, and I showed you just a variety of other emails. All of those emails were selling the product. Even knowing there might need to be, of course, a conversation. I mean, I can't just reply and say, here's my credit card or whatever. There would need to be a conversation, but they did not sell the conversation. They sold the product. Do you need a new provider for HR? Of course, we're going to have a long conversation, but they're not selling me on the conversation. I'll show how you might do this in an email, but you sell the appointment. And then the next step is an appointment. And this is where you might spend more time with the prospect, 20 to 30 minutes. You could do this over the phone, or you could do it face to face. Half the attention's on the prospect, half the attention is on you, meaning you might spend 15 minutes asking more questions and then 15 minutes going into more detail on the products that you have that can help. You could end up having these two steps at the same time. But what you want to accomplish here is you might want to move the prospect to the next process, which might be scheduling a presentation. And you might have a very simple sales process where you send out a quote and that's all you do, and they either buy or they don't. Well, the presentation could be sending the quote, or it could be scheduling a call to review the quote. But that's the next step. And the goal of that third step might be where you get closer to trying to sell the product. I put this out here because why is this important? This is important because this impacts what you say. If you're doing product selling and you're always trying to sell the product, you're not going to be as focused on as you are on trying to sell the next step in the process. Another example of why this works well is you're going to get objections. I'm not interested. We don't have any budget right now. We're already using somebody. Those are good objections to get rid of the product selling salesperson, because if someone's product selling and you don't have budget, then you just shot them down. There's no reason to meet. If you're selling the appointment, then the fact that they don't have budget is not a legitimate objection. I respond to that all the time by saying, hey, I understand you don't have budget, and I'll be sure that neither you nor I spend a ton of time together, but it would still be productive to have a brief conversation where I can learn a little bit more about you and share a little bit more about us. That way, next year when your budget opens up, you can know how we might be able to help you. Because the odds of me calling you back when you have budget or everything changes is might not be probable. So I know you're not going to buy today, and I won't try to sell you anything, but it still sounds like it might make sense to have a brief conversation. So it's shifting that mindset, and I point that out before I show you some email templates, because these email templates are what you can use. You can dump these right into LinkedIn, and they sell the appointment, not the product. By the way, when I showed you the product selling, what that person reflects on and the messages that they create, they're all about the product. So then I showed you the consultative selling approach had those columns with value, pain, qualify, credibility, interest. So each of those columns gives us stuff to create emails around. So here's an email focusing on the benefits. Hey, the reason why I'm reaching out to you is I'm with TechLight, and we help businesses to benefit 1, benefit 2, benefit 3. I don't know if you're interested in any of those, but that's why I'm reaching out. I'll try to give you a call next week. If you're interested in talking before then, I can schedule a brief call, blah, blah, blah. So that is something that's actually created by SalesScripter, by the way. In SalesScripter, I showed you that it'll take you through all those steps. The neat thing about SalesScripter is as you're answering all those questions, it's filling in these email templates instantly. So you get all these right away. Now, you can take these emails directly from SalesScripter and dump it into your LinkedIn email messenger thing if you want to send emails through LinkedIn. If you're either use your InMail, which you don't have to become connections for, or if you want to send your email to a connection that you've reached out to, or maybe a connection you've had for some time. But and by the way, I showed you that to not do the instant pitch, where you connect instantly and then you send this product selling email. If you were to do that with this email and just add a few days or a week or two, it wouldn't be as bad. Because this is a consultative selling message. This is not a product selling message. Product selling is annoying. This is more, hey, I help this way. I don't know if you need my help. If you do, I'm here. I'm just sort of like if you're a doctor, and you know that there's a bunch of people that are sick, and you're going around and saying, hey, I help people with the flu, and I know that people in your neighborhood have the flu. I'm worried about you. Do you have the flu? And they say no. Okay, I'm moving on. So that's not annoying at all, and that's what angle this comes from. Let me show you another email template. So the next column in our way to organize your thoughts was pain. Here's a pain email. Hey, the reason why I'm reaching out is I'm with TechLight, and we know that small businesses often have challenges with pain 1, pain 2, pain 3. I'm not sure if you're concerned about any of those, but that's why I'm reaching out. So here's another email template. Here's another email template, and a name drop. This is just a short email that references another client that you've helped and how you helped them and whatnot. So there's more email templates in SalesScripter that align with that consultative selling approach that are created. What we're actually able to do is we create email threads that stitch all those emails together. So you see there's value, pain, name drop, qualify, product message, last attempt message. So that's an email thread that's actually created, and the emails are actually tweaked where they sort of follow one on the other with picking up where the other one left off. Let me show you that real quick, because I just want to show you something real quick, which is we actually have what we call LinkedIn Connection Accept threads, which this is what it looks like. Great to add you to my network. I came across your profile because we help businesses to blah, 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 blah. So that's the value. And then I want to follow up with an email that I sent you last week. The reason why I'm reaching out is we help with this. Name drop, qualify message, product. So product message. So now is when email 5, and we're 5 emails, 4. We've already sent 4 emails, and now we're on email 5, and maybe like 1 to 2 months later, however, depending on how you're timing these out. Now we're getting to some of the product details, and so this is the email that these other people are sending to prospects 5 minutes after they accept the invitation to connect. So you can see how we're coming at things from a different angle, and then a last attempt email, which goes back to some of the benefit points. So that's what we call an email thread. I'd encourage you to check out SalesScripter so you can get access to those. Another thing that is nice about SalesScripter is you can actually send these emails directly through SalesScripter. So a couple reasons why you might want to send an email through SalesScripter is you actually will be notified when someone clicks on or opens your email, so you can then do some quality scoring. The other thing that's really cool is that we can schedule out these future emails. So you basically just put your prospect in, go to the email guesser, get their email address, then create a contact, then send them an email thread, and all these other emails are all automated. So you can just sort of set it and forget it. And so something to think about. There are a few different email threads. There's a couple different LinkedIn connection follow-up threads, and then there's a couple threads that and you can edit the thread to make it whatever you want. You could create your own and use these for people that you don't connect on LinkedIn, or add. You could take this 6 email thread and make it 10. If you wanted to continue to add additional information to send out to the prospect. If you're doing product selling, by the way, that's going to give you one email, right? Because you're going to send an email talking about the product you sell. Now, if the prospect doesn't respond, what do you send again? You send another email about the product. And by the way, I mentioned one of my instant pitch guys that emailed me last week. He actually did that. He emailed me again yesterday, and it was just another email talking again about his product. With our approach, you have a variety of different emails. So you do have something to keep going back to the prospect on, and it's something different. And so you're going to them with a different message. Maybe one message connects versus the other. Maybe the prospect reads all your emails, but they don't respond. You're going to be educating them over a period of time. Hopefully we gave you enough direction regarding sending emails. I personally recommend you call the prospect too if you really want to be effective. So now moving on to the call that you make. If you are doing product selling, then you might feel uncomfortable about calling someone, because you're going to call them and talk to them about the product that you want to sell them, which they don't enjoy. And since they don't enjoy you trying to sell to them, you're not going to enjoy it, and it gives you a level of anxiety, and it makes them reject you, and the rejection makes it even worse, and you don't enjoy your job, and then you might not hit your targets, and then you're really not enjoying your job, and you're not making the money that you want, and you might have to find a new job, and this is downward spiral, right? Well, if you use a consultative selling approach, it's not as bad, because we're not calling the prospect to try to sell something. We are calling the prospect to see if they need our help. Remember, think about like you're the doctor that has the flu shot or the flu medication. You know that people have the flu. You're just trying to find the people that have the flu. And those people that have the flu will be happy to see you. Now, the people that don't have the flu, they don't need to see you, so if you try to talk to them about buying the flu medication, they're going to get annoyed. That's what our approach does. And so here's an example of a call script that's produced by SalesScripter, but there's an introduction and a value statement right at the beginning and a takeaway. I'm not sure if you need what we provide, and then you roll right into asking some questions. So it's a much softer sale. It's a consultative sale, and if you find someone on LinkedIn, you have a reason to call them other than trying to get them to buy your product. Your reason for calling them is that you know that there's people out there that need your help. You're just trying to figure out if they're one of those people. And you got to really become aware that there are people out there that need what you sell. If there aren't, then you're selling the wrong thing, and I would recommend you maybe sell something different. Becoming aware of what you sell is something that I call value awareness. So you're aware of the value that you offer, and what your products help with. There's got to be prospects out there that need that. And where most salespeople go wrong is they try to sell to everybody, and they sell to people who don't need their help. I personally believe you go about it trying to find the people that need what you sell, and that's what these emails and this methodology and this call script does. You can find a prospect on LinkedIn. By the way, you don't have to email them. You could call them up directly. You have their name, you have the company they work for. You don't have their phone number. You might have their phone number if you connect with them, because if they fill that in, you might be able to grab their phone number. But you go to the company main website and call the main switchboard, and often work your way to that individual, and you can call them. And here's your call script. Let's talk a little bit about staying fresh in the prospect's mind. And the reason why this is important is because when you're prospecting, whether you use LinkedIn or not, you often will run into no. And believe it or not, sometimes no response is technically no. You've sent an email, you've left them a voicemail, whatever. You're not hearing anything back. They're saying no. A saying that I often say is sometimes no response is a response. And sometimes you verbally hear them say no in the way they respond to your email, or what they say to you on a call, or what they might say when you actually get to the appointment phase with them. But what I want you to not forget is that more often than not, no actually means no, not right now. They might want what you have, but they can't afford it. They might want what you have, but they're stocked up. So they just don't need it right now. Even if you do everything right, you can often still run into a lot of the time, no, not right now. And the thing that's difficult is to be able to call that prospect back at the perfect time, so that no, not right now changes to, well, maybe we might be starting to get ready. It's hard to know that. Now, your prospect knows that, but you don't. And so the thing that's nice about prospecting on LinkedIn is you can use LinkedIn to just sort of stay fresh in that prospect's mind. And I would, kind of think of it as like using LinkedIn as a radio antenna, that is always broadcasting these signals. And, if your radio is not on right now because you're listening to me, and so you're not in your car right now, hopefully driving, but your car's turned off and your radio's turned off. So there's radio signals going around your car from all the local radio stations, but your car's not receiving it and picking that up. And when you get in your car and turn it on, you might begin to hear some of what is going on there. And so LinkedIn is the same thing. You have the news feed, and you have different ways of broadcasting on LinkedIn. And true indeed that there's a lot of prospects that you connect with that rarely get on LinkedIn, but there are some that do. And if you end up having thousands of connections and a lot of different prospects, you'd be surprised who ends up seeing your stuff in the news feed. So what you want to do is you want to broadcast content, and do that through, you could post the company you work for, the company you own may have a blog, and if you own the company, you might want to get a blog and publish content to a blog. Now, something that I also want to point out, going back to, you notice I said that those different pillars of the consultative selling approach provide us with different emails. those different pillars actually also provide us content for our company blog. Let me show you this real quick. There's this folder here called Marketing Documents, Product Matrix. Let me just show you. So here is just sort of all the different benefits and pain points for this particular product. Each of these benefits and pain points are a topic to create a blog post on. Now, this might be going over your head or not really applicable if you're a salesperson, but I'll say stay with me because you could use it too. If you're a business owner or you're able to publish content, create content, you can write a whole blog post on each individual topic. And if you're on my email newsletter, you know you get emails from me that point you back to my blog, and that's where all of these come from. I think about the different ways that I help someone, and I write a blog post about it. Now, let's say that you're a salesperson and it's not part of your job to write to a blog, and that's just something that you don't have and your company doesn't have it. The thing that you can do is you could go out to the internet and find other people's blog posts on that topic and share it on LinkedIn as like you're being a collaborator or a contributor or an influencer. Let me give you an example. So a pain point that I help to fix is the salespeople quit a lot because they're not selling, they're not happy, they're not having fun. That's a pain point, and that pain point costs a lot of money to an individual. I, of course, have created content on that, but let's say that I was a salesperson and I didn't have content. I could go out to the internet and look for white papers or case studies on sales staff turnover or how to decrease turnover. And that's just going to broadcast content on LinkedIn right here in the newsfeed. And you're going to show up here. And if you publish content that is related to the pain points that you think your prospects experience, then you stand a good chance to get their attention if they're on LinkedIn at that particular time. And you might go, well, what are the odds in that? Well, it's just like the radio antenna. You just keep broadcasting. And don't think about who's seeing this or what. You just push it out there. So you could do another thing is that you can also publish a blog posts on LinkedIn, and those will actually get you different traffic. I believe on most accounts it'll publish a little notification on your connections when you publish a blog post. I personally publish a lot of blog posts on LinkedIn, and what I actually do is I copy my blog post from my company website word for word and dump it on my blog on LinkedIn. So I'm not having to create duplicates. I'm not saying that's the perfect way to do it, but I don't think there's a penalty for sort of that copy and paste. But if I'm wrong on that and you find that out, let me know. And so anyways, just you kind of get the idea here, sharing videos. You could also use email drip campaigns to stay fresh in a prospect's mind. Now, you would do that outside of LinkedIn. You would either use maybe a tool like SalesScripter or a marketing automation, email marketing software. The way that applies to prospecting on LinkedIn is you either go to LinkedIn to figure out who to contact and to engage with them in some way, maybe get their email or use LinkedIn to figure out what their email address is, and then you move that data over to your email drip campaign software. You could, what I often do is sometimes I'll take an extraction of all my contacts on LinkedIn and I'll dump that into the software that I use for email drip campaigns. We here at SalesScripter, we provide what we call the SMART sales system. And so SMART actually stands for sales messaging. So I've been through a lot of sales training before. Rarely have I been through any training that teaches me what to say. And I've worked for companies that did not teach me what to say. It's always been a big passion of mine that the most powerful sales tool you have are your words. And some people think email's a great sales tool, LinkedIn's a great sales tool, email automation, whatever. Your words are your most powerful sales tool. The words you say are the difference between failure and success. Are you asking the right questions? So it's always been just a passion of mine, how to figure out to teach myself what to say, and then how to teach my employees what to say, and now my mission is to help to teach salespeople what to say. So it's all about sales messaging, and it's also about responding. So How are you responding to prospects' questions? How are you responding to prospects' answers to questions? How are you responding to prospects' objections? And it's all about tactics. So a lot of sales training out there is very fluffy, it doesn't really tell you exactly what to do, or it's more strategic and this is the strategy. I'm real big on when someone says this, I do this. If I can't get a hold of someone, I do this. So we're real big on teaching the tactics. This is exactly what you need to do. And so you can access our smart sales system through well, we offer it as a sales methodology, and so you can go out to YouTube, and there's actually a playlist called Smart Sales System Training Program. It's out there for free, and you can watch trainings like this that you've attended here today, and you'll basically get access to our full sales training program out there. Now, we provide that out there for free, which it's the same type of stuff that a lot of companies will charge you a lot of money for. And we put that out there for free on our YouTube channel, also in ebooks. And we do that because, and you can also access our training through live training, which is not free, but we can provide live training virtually through this type of format. We can do in-house, in-person, and we can customize this content to basically fit your particular situation. So the thing that's really nice with the content, in our training we talk about value, and we talk about pain, and we talk about objections and all that. In our standard training we just use different examples, similar to what I did here today. When we can easily customize our content so that we're talking about, if we're teaching your salespeople, we can talk about the benefits that your products offer. We can talk about the pain points that your salespeople should be looking for. So we can make it very specific. So not only are they getting the concepts, but they're also, it's resonating at a deeper level. But again, we give away a lot of the methodology for free, again, through YouTube and through our ebooks. And the reason why we do that is our business model is that we want to help you, and we feel like the place that we can help you and also become a profitable company, by the way, is by you using our software. And so we have basically Sales Scripter, which has what I talked about earlier. It'll basically help you to build your sales pitch, and it'll plug all that content into a library of scripts and templates and provide CRM functionality and email automation. And then we have our Sales Prospector product, which is a slimmed down version of that, more designed for salespeople, that plugs into like a Sales Scripter account that already has all the scripts and everything created. So listen, we want to help you. If money is tight, I direct custom prospects all the time to our YouTube channel and to our ebooks. And I personally believe if you love all of that, and if that is helping you, then you need to check out our software. And then that's where, that's how we basically charge our customers. Anyways, the last way that we help is through our professional services, and so we provide sales consulting, where we'll work with you to help you to build your pitch. We can do that inside of Sales Scripter and help you to wordsmith all of your content, help you to map out your process and look at any existing scripts you have. We can also work directly with you or your salespeople in sales coaching, which is where we meet on a recurring basis and help salespeople to figure out what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what they need to do next. Anyways, so that is pretty much it. Here's my contact info if you have any questions.